Good morning. It's Monday, October 6, 2014. This is Tech Talk Today, episode 70. And no, the trains couldn't hold me back. I made it on time for today's episode. It was hit and miss. But what kept me going, what gave me inspiration to wait for that train, was our awesome Mumble Room. Time-appropriate greetings, Mumble Room.
Good afternoon.
Hello. Whoa. Ooh, that was good, guys. I feel like, was that a train? Okay. All right, I get it. All right. It's like, that was original, and I see what you're trolling me. I got you. Well, let's start with kind of the quote-unquote big news in the tech industry today. And this is one of those that was really getting steam over the weekend, and it involved, like, text messages with people that were familiar with the matter and rumors between newspapers, and it's kind of all coming together right now. In fact, let me check right now to see if they've broke the story as I was driving over. Yes, they have. The story is official right now. HP is splitting into two publicly traded companies called Hewlett-Packard Enterprise and HP Inc. It's expected to be completed by November 2015. Meg Whitman will be the CEO of Hewlett-Packard Enterprise and a non-executive chairman of HP Inc. So they're going to also be laying off from 5K to 55,000K. people. That's 55,000 people. So here's how it went down over the weekend. Pretty crazy story. It started as rumors in the Wall Street Journal after they received text messages from somebody on the HP board. And so the company intends to announce the move today, and they have, and they think that this is going to help them extract more value out of the two companies. They think that each will produce more than $50 billion. Each of the two companies now will individually produce more than $50 billion in revenue. This is actually, the other thing that's semi-interesting about this is a plan they came up with a long time ago, but at the time, they called it like the aw crap backup plan. Like, if everything goes wrong, this is what we're going to do. Now, it doesn't appear that that's the case with this split. In fact, the way they looked at it is this is just a direction we needed to go anyways. We're just revising our emergency plan. So I'll take it to you guys, Mumble Room. Do you think this is HP desperate to sort of reinvigorate themselves and make them continue to stay relevant? They've got a good enterprise market, but they're slipping in just about every other category. Or is it just a smart move to stay nimble? Who wants to take it first? Nobody has any thoughts on it?
Yeah, I got nothing.
Really?
This is a complete surprise to me.
Really? I mean, there've been rumors about it for a couple of years.
Yeah, I guess I haven't been following it, but at the same time, it's just like, well, if they've been hurting, if they want to really strategize and totally redo what they're doing, then yeah, this is probably the way to go.
So
I'm not sure if I've missed this, but what's happening to their home computer market?
So the printer and the home computing are going to be in one division, and that's going to be I think the HP Inc. And then you're going to have Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, which is going to take care of like their high-end Unix systems, their investment in OpenStack, and all of that will be under the HP Enterprise umbrella. So a lot of any of their Linux stuff is going to be under that umbrella and stuff like that. And then they're going to have the more consumer products that'll be called just HP Inc. So you're going to have Hewlett-Packard Enterprise and now HP Inc. Two different companies. The HP Inc. will be leading the personal systems and printing along with, new technologies like they plan to I think one of their rationales here is HP Inc. is going to take on some of the trendier risks like 3D printing. And then they don't run a risk of ruining their enterprise business or losing focus there or robbing resources from that while they invest in things like tablets and 3D printers under HP Inc.
It actually does sound the next logical move for them because they do have that consumer market and they do have that enterprise market and they do try to keep them as separated as possible. And I think this is just one more way of doing that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if Dell did something similar.
Oh, really?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They need to, don't they? It seems like they do.
It seems like they have, they should have a consumer arm and an enterprise arm. And I also, I do find it amusing that HP Inc. is going to be the bit that sells HP Inc.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's certainly funny.
Hey-o.
I was thinking that too.
Yeah, that's great. That is pretty good. Yeah, and Meg Whitman was quoted today saying, no, our company is not better together. We're better if we can split up and focus on our individual things. I buy it, actually. We've seen a lot of crazy, some of us have watched this for a while. Like, I remember how crazy it was when HP and Compaq merged. Does anybody in the Mumble Room remember when Compaq and HP were...
Yeah.
Yeah, and they came together, and it took HP, a decade to recover from that?
Well, and part of it was because Compaq focused mostly on the computer market and HP focused mostly on the enterprise. And it was just a culture clash at that point. So this was more than a decade ago, and now they're basically taking that and splitting it back off again so that Hewlett Packard can really focus on the enterprise like they have been in the past historically.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting? It's sort of going back to where they started.
Yeah, pretty much.
Let's shift gears. Mobile payments. You know me. I'm waiting for mobile payments to be integrated into my phone. I don't know why. I should know better, but for some reason, I have always hated having my wallet. And by the way, have you noticed that if you ever lose your cell phone, it feels just as bad as when you lose your wallet? You are just as freaked out about it. At least you can remotely wipe your phone in most cases. But I'm already now carrying around two things that I am beside myself if I lose. I'd rather just lose the one thing that I can wipe remotely. I don't know. I'm all about mobile payments.
Hit in your stomach.
Yeah, but I tell you,
I actually had that yesterday. I left the hotel when I went to the conference. I left a hotel and I had my phone in my pocket and I forgot my wallet. And I kind of thought, I don't really need my wallet.
Right.
But I really am glad I have my phone with me.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I often because I don't even keep my wallet in my pocket anymore for most of the time because I don't like the way it feels in my pocket, and I'll just put it in my bag and then I'll leave to go to lunch. I forgot my wallet again and I have to turn back and go get it. So I'll tell you though. Here's how I don't want mobile payments to go. Facebook. Hacked screenshots show friend-to-friend payments in that new Facebook Messenger app that they're cramming down everyone's throat.
No.
And it seems like it's been in here for a while, and this gets good. So Facebook Messenger is kind of already all set up to do this. According to some screenshots and video that was taken when somebody tore open the iOS app source code, I believe his name is Andrew Adu, and he dug through the code. He has screenshots of it. He has video. The systems are all kind of there. It's integrated with the messaging. You add your debit card. Now, here's sort of the second shoe that kind of confirms that this is really going to be a thing. So not only is all of the coding there, who knows about back-end stuff, but all of the front-end coding is there. But really the tell was actually from Zuckerberg himself. He said it during the Q2 earnings call. This is a direct quote from Zuckerberg. He said, over time, there will be some overlap between Messenger and payments. The payment piece will be part of what will help drive the overall success and help people share with each other and interact with business. He, however, then went on to urge Wall Street not to get too foamy at the mouth because he said there was so much groundwork for us to do. He urged analysts and investors to revise their estimates of Facebook's revenue if they expected the payment system to come quickly. He said, direct quote, to the extent that your models or anything reflect that we might be doing that, I strongly encourage you to adjust that because we're not going to. We're going to take our time and do this in a way that is going to be right over multiple years. So in other words, Facebook really wants to get into payments really bad. And they've already laid the groundwork in their Messenger app. And here's what I worry about. Not only do I not really particularly like all of the data that Facebook could collect by watching what I buy and who I pay money to, even just that is, I'm not super comfortable with that to begin with. But I really just do not like the idea of the eventual, how could this not lead to begging on Facebook? If it's integrated in with Facebook Messenger and Messenger is so tightly coupled with the Facebook experience, how could it not lead to begging? Am I wrong, guys?
Well, I think they're playing catch up here. If you go to somewhere where there's no 3G coverage, like emerging markets like the third world, for example, payments happen on mobile all the time. Everyone has a mobile phone, but it's not done over 3G because they have no decent network coverage. So they do it over SMS. They pay each other money via SMS text messages. Their banks pay them money via, their services pay them money, or they pay for services with SMS because they don't have a bank account. It actually costs them more money to put money on their phone and take it off their phone. So they try not to do that. They try and transfer money around. And there's a massive economy in mobile phone based payments, but it's all done over SMS. This is just a natural progression to move payments into the more modern world.
And we've seen Gmail introduce ways to send payments through Gmail using Google Wallet. Go ahead.
I have 5 words to say. What are they doing here?
Oh, Facebook? Why Facebook?
Yeah.
Why well, because this is too, apparently anybody who has a large user base, this is too big of an opportunity to pass up because everybody who has a semi-large user base is in this. What we're really waiting for is Microsoft to reinvent whatever payment systems they have and give it a new name and then announce it.
Internal alert in the chat room. brought up a good point. He sees a lot of friends saying, please say money scams coming.
Yes,
So,
exactly. I see scams. I see. I just see there's people that we follow on Facebook that are in bad shapes. They're having a hard spot in their life, and I don't think it would be above them to say, hey, could you send me a few bucks and, post a real sob story with a picture or something like that on Facebook and ask for people to message them.
Or even people's Facebook's getting hacked and somebody posting that, and because I see that happen more often than not. Some people getting control over somebody else's Facebook.
I find the user base that Facebook has aren't that good at using passwords. So if a account gets hacked because they use a really terrible password, they're just going to moan at Facebook that all their money is gone.
I don't know. I think they would be clever enough to require you to increase the security. If you're going to do mobile payments, they would probably at least want two-factor auth or SMS auth for your account.
We also don't know what kind of rollback system maybe they'll sort of PayPal style, really easy for the person to take their money back kind of thing. That's possible.
I would imagine it will be exactly the same as it is for these developing nations where they have SMS, in that once you put money in, it will be very difficult for you to get it out, or it'll be expensive transfer fees to get it out. So you will just use it to buy, and the money will just move around inside the network.
Right. Yes, exactly. It'll be like their own currency internally, like points or whatever.
Or like Bitcoin.
Yeah. You see where I was going with that.
Yeah.
And I will mention too, let's just think back to, I think, what was it, 2 weeks ago, where it was announced that eBay and PayPal were splitting off. And then last week it came out that I didn't notice it, I didn't even think about it, but out of all of the companies that were announced to partner with Apple Pay, PayPal wasn't one of them. Even though PayPal is integrated into the iTunes store, you can use PayPal to buy apps right now. Developers can use PayPal to pay for the developer account, I think. But the one provider, the major provider that wasn't included was PayPal. Well, the word last week is Apple got super butthurt when PayPal signed up a deal with Samsung to integrate PayPal payments into Samsung devices. And when they did that, Apple cut off talks to integrate them with Apple Pay. Now, here is the interesting bit to that, because, of course, that doesn't sound too surprising. The interesting bit is it was the eBay CEO that pushed PayPal's hand to sign up with Samsung. So now we see that PayPal and eBay are splitting. And now we see also that Facebook is announcing their own payment system. Google has their own payment system. Apple has their own payment system. PayPal really needs to get off the stick and start innovating here, because they're about to get left behind. Because pretty soon, payments is just going to be a featured checkbox right next to all the other things the phone can do. And it's just going to be one more thing, just like cloud storage is one more thing, just like photo storage is now one more thing, which used to be separate services that only certain providers could offer. Now the platform provider has just integrated all of these things, and now payments is coming. And you can see it. And I think Facebook's trying to hustle right now. I mean, it's no coincidence they already have a ton of the code written, right? This is a long-term plan they're making here. This is something that I think Zuckerberg wants to go after in a big way, because it could almost, in a sense, be it's just creepy to say this, but in a sense, it could be a one-world currency, because Facebook is huge. It's freaking huge. And if like Popey was saying, if it's on the back end and you're just moving money internally in the system, Facebook can avoid currency conversion charges and all of this stuff if you're just moving it in the back end. And it's not until you extract it out to a final money, like send it to your bank account, that it ever would have to be converted or have any fees applied to it. So this could be the biggest payments platform, and it could just happen in a few months, and boom, everybody now can do payments on Facebook. And what's Facebook got, 1 billion users across the world? It could be nuts.
And it also means you don't have to worry too much about currency conversion, because it's like, Microsoft points on the Xbox. You buy some of those, and then you use those points to buy stuff on the platform.
Yes, right.
And because the real currency is abstracted away, the worth of them seems somewhat less, because you don't realize the exchange rate when you're buying stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, Bill Gates is looking down on us right now. Well, proverbially looking down. He's still with us, obviously.
Looking up.
He's observing all of us from his Bill Gates lair, and he thinks we're just silly. He thinks our old notions of money are out of date, because Bill Gates thinks that Bitcoin is better than currency. Yes, Popey's here, so we have a Bitcoin story today. Bill Gates was talking to Bloomberg, and he's I don't know. Bloomberg spins it as he's super positive on Bitcoin. Well, I'll play the clip, and you guys tell me what you think. Go.
Cost of doing so, the overhead, as you put it, makes me think, believe it or not, of Bitcoin, because some people have said, hey, Bitcoin is the answer to those problems. Are you a believer?
Well, Bitcoin is exciting because it shows how cheap it can be. Bitcoin is better than currency in that you don't have to be physically in the same place. And, of course, for large transactions, currency can get pretty inconvenient. The customers we're talking about aren't trying to be anonymous. They're willing to be known. So the Bitcoin technology is key, and you could add to it, or you could build a similar technology where there's enough attribution that people feel comfortable. This has nothing to do with terrorism or any type of money laundering.
All right, so I think, it's interesting because Bitcoin actually is a bit of a misnomer. Bitcoin is not anonymous at all. And if you ever think you are anonymous when using Bitcoin, I got bad news for you. There are ways to go about it. There's tumbling services and things like that. So I don't think Gates maybe has a super deep understanding of Bitcoin, but he seems to acknowledge that, what it really has showed us is a distributed blockchain system can kind of solve a lot of problems about moving money around the net. And my really super small example of this is Alan runs Scale Engine, right? Well, our live stream is powered by Scale Engine. Our whole CDN is Scale Engine. All our hosting is Scale Engine. So we pay Alan every single month. And it's this crazy-ass system where we have to convert our silly U.S. fake dollars into silly fake Canadian dollars. And we have to pay this conversion fee, and I have to send him money through like this system. And after using Bitcoin, it seems so antiquated. It seems so unnecessary because if I was paying him in Bitcoin, I would just put an amount, put his address in there, done, and it's just done. And it just reduces so much friction that I would think that even like these companies could use Bitcoin on the back end, like Facebook. They could abstract it with Facebook points and Messenger, but on the back end, for the ledger purposes, they could be using Bitcoin to move all the money around. I don't know. But I think what Gates is kind of saying there is it might not be Bitcoin, but people are going to start working on cryptocurrencies. Maybe big businesses, maybe big banks are going to start working on it.
One thing I see about Gates is he's a really smart guy. We all know that. I just don't know if he's fully done his research on Bitcoin yet.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, and you know what else I find
surprising?
surprising?
He's probably as a tech expert.
Whoa, Bitcoin's up big time this morning. Holy crap.
Oh, yeah.
To 340 US.
Nowhere near where it used
But
to
it was, when I checked it last night when I was prepping the story, it was at 299.
Whoa.
Yeah. So that's a pretty large jump. And it's been series after series of positive Bitcoin stories, starting a week or two ago when PayPal announced that they're integrating Bitcoin with merchants. There's been a lot of positive talk about Bitcoin, but yet the price has been tumbling like nuts. And so I've been reading the Bitcoin forums, and I don't know, people think there's manipulation. I think now it's gotten to the point where people are dumping, so then and then people are buying like crazy when they go down. It's just all over the place. Bitcoin, good old Bitcoin, still riding that roller coaster. That's what, at the end of the day. Also, not just talking about Bitcoin, Gates also talked a little bit about Microsoft and Office and Satya Nadella. So when they switched to talking about the new CEO and whether Windows should be the focus for Microsoft and how he felt Satya was doing, Gates said he's very happy with how Satya is going, and he cautiously went on to say that he believes the company needs to make Office dramatically better. Here's what he said. He said, certainly, Microsoft should do well or better, but all of the things Microsoft needs to do in terms of making people more productive in their work, helping them communicate in new ways, it's a long list of opportunities Microsoft has to innovate, and taking Office and making it dramatically better would be really high on the list. That's the kind of thing that I'm trying to make sure they move fast on. I'm happy with what he's doing. I see a new sense of energy. There's a lot of opportunity there. Some things the company isn't a leader on, and he needs to change that. You know what I noticed about that? A lot of times when you would listen to somebody who birthed a company, still works at the company, is now an executive advisor to the CEO, a lot of times, especially if they've been there for like 30 years or so, instead of saying the company's name, they would say I and we. We need to innovate there. There's a lot of opportunity. We need to make Office better, right? So it's sort of a bit of ownership because, being the founder and all. And whenever he talks about Microsoft, in fact, the Bloomberg interview with several other quotes is linked in the show notes. Whenever he talks about Microsoft, he never. Is it just me? Am I just picking up on something? Maybe it's just a small thing, but he never internalizes. He never owns it. It's not his thing. It's not. It's something external. It's these people over here. It's not me. Is that weird to you guys?
It's almost like he's distanced himself from his baby.
Yeah, and like he's not really tuned in.
I would call it a total disownership. I would just call it, I've given them the direction. They're going off and doing their own thing now, so...
I guess that's a good thing. It just feels a little cold. I don't know.
But if it's not something you can affect anymore, then...
But I think he can. I think, because he's like a direct advisor to Satya.
And he's also still the executive chairman.
I'm also seeing this as like he's letting Facebook, Microsoft grow up. Microsoft is becoming a teenager now. They can go off and do its own thing, and he's just watching it grow up.
So much a teenager as an old man.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was wondering. Is if maybe it's like an old man who's reaching his retirement and not sure what to do with himself with a little extra time and not quite the same influence he used to have.
Oh, I was talking about Microsoft as like pretending Microsoft was a person.
Yeah. All right. Well, it just, you know what? It's really just a words thing. It could just be the way Bill Gates talks. It's nothing to really. I just thought it was particularly interesting, and I agree. There's a lot of room for Office to get better, and I thought his comments on Bitcoin were interesting. Before we get to our last story, which may or may not freak you out, I mean, it is going to be the way of things. I'd like to talk to you about another way of things. That's keeping us on the air over at patreon.com/today. That's a fundraiser for all of the shows on the Jupiter Broadcasting Network. The money that we raise here, we put directly into the network to invest in things like Ohio Linux Fest and getting little things in here and there for like the stickers and the swag and stuff like that, covering some of our travel expenses or gear, things that come up when we're down there. But also, we have a few things in the pipeline for new shows and concept ideas. Sometimes when you work on those things, they don't bear out. Sometimes they do, and I think we're on a couple of we have two, I don't want to go into too much detail, but we're working on a couple of things right now that we would not even be able to do if we didn't have this budgetability, this predictability that you are bringing us over at patreon.com/today. It directly means we're able to invest in new ideas, new concepts, new hardware, even just go out and try crazy things to experiment and learn without having to turn to sponsors every single time. And I believe that there's always a great place to balance content and sponsorships, but I think the preferred balance would be to really tilt it towards the audience, because then you directly are the people that we report to. You're the boss. You are who our interests are. You are our investors. It's such a symbiotic relationship because we're making the content for you. So you should be the people that we report to. That's what we're trying to accomplish over at patreon.com/today. Now, here is the goal. Today is October 6th, and Ohio Linux Fest is coming up at the end of the month. We are trying to get to 400 patrons, so that way when we take off from Seattle and head towards Ohio, we go up into the air knowing that we really have this safety net, that we can really start planning on some big stuff. And it's also going to just give us peace of mind as we're out there spending money to do things, to get you the coverage and things like that, that we have kind of this... It has been in the past very risky for us. It has been very risky because it doesn't always pay out. And that now that we are sort of stretched so thin, it is a risk that we cannot really afford to take. But this is something that you can help us with by going over to patreon.com/today. This is something that if the audience is truly engaged, if the audience truly loves what we're doing, if there's a few shows on the Jupiter Broadcasting Network that you love and you want to keep around, this is how you can do that. And it's not just about the money. It's about establishing a community over there. It's about the activities area where we can go and post stuff just for our patrons. It's about the Swag Club, a way for us to say thank you. There's all these other things that are attached to it. It's an awesome system, and that's really why I think Patreon is going to be huge for independent content creation. Huge. I don't know if it's going to be Patreon or something like it. I hope it's Patreon because I've talked to the guys that run it, and they are really, really about content creation. The fees are really reasonable and all of it. In fact, if you have an independent media production, you're doing like a podcast or something like that, you might want to consider it for your work too, because I know how expensive it is to create content and the time and dedication it requires. Even if it's just a few patrons, you might want to consider it. For us, it's really making a huge difference because we are now able to take on more stuff than we ever could, and it's helping us push through sort of this this wall that we had hit where we had a lot of things going on but not enough money coming in to take it further, and we were just kind of constantly treading water. And Patreon is helping us tip that to so we're no longer treading water, but we're rapidly moving forward. And it's some of the most exciting times at Jupiter Broadcasting, and it's really thanks to our patrons. Patreon.com/today. You give us the flexibility to move around, to try new things, to go out and do coverage, and as that grows, we can expand what we do. We're trying to get to 400 by the end of October. It would be awesome as we take off into the air to know we've hit that milestone. Patreon.com/today. Please help us invest in all of the shows. Any amount you can afford is totally appreciated. It's a monthly pledge. And we have a default level there as well as some other recommended levels down the bottom to give you an idea of what your money goes towards. And thanks to all 350 of you. Patreon.com/today. Okay. Try not to get freaked out, guys. Try not to get too crazy scared. But the U.S. Navy is testing robot boats that swarm and overwhelm their enemies at sea. They're testing a large-scale swarm of autonomous boats designed to overwhelm their enemies. And yes, you might have guessed it, they do indeed run Linux. They have some large boats, some small boats. They have all kinds of things they can do with them, including they can carry, loudspeakers to yell at people, flashing lights, 50 caliber machine gun, microwave gun that shoots microwave energy directly at somebody, or a heat ray. Yes, these robots can walk around with a heat ray, which is essentially a laser, let's be honest. They can also detect enemy vessels with radar, infrared sensors. They can perform a series of maneuvers to encircle a craft, coming close enough to the boat to engage it, but not to crash into it. They can blast warnings at them, flash lights. It's pretty nuts. They say that it requires 40 people that used to some of these maneuvers when they would have automated boats that weren't self-controlled, but like you could remotely pilot them. It would take 40 people to pilot all of the boats. And now with this system, it just takes one person to manage all of this. And he manages it, by the way, from an Ubuntu box. So I think this video right here, I'm going to...
For the future force.
The future force. Ooh, that sounds a little scary, actually.
U.S. Navy.
All right, I think if I jump ahead to about 1 minute, if you watch really super close, you'll see Unity running in a VM, I think. Here, let's watch this part and see if we can catch it.
Give them another warning, or potentially we can say, you've come too close, we're now going to destroy your vessel.
Oh, jeez.
Autonomous swarming is made possible through outfitting a boat with a sensor and accompanying software kit called Caracas. This advanced software was developed by NASA for the Mars rover and adapted through ONR support for
There's the unit. Now, they got it running a VM of some shenanigans on a Windows box, but that's probably because this guy just doesn't have Linux. You know, I got that guy. But there you go, running Linux. Now, here, I'll play a little more because I love some of the vernacular they use.
autonomous swarming.
What we have on board these boats is software and equipment that allows the boats to operate autonomously, which means they can sense the environment being other ships, perhaps the enemy, that's the objective, and then they can react to the environment.
ONR's current demo on the James River was made possible through discoveries in artificial
All right, now listen to these discoveries. I got to play this back because I love the terms they use here.
intelligence, machine perception, and distributed data fusion.
Distributed data fusion. How cool is
What
that?
the hell is that?
I want some of that. I think that means...
data.
Does that mean just taking multiple sources of data and then bringing it together and analyzing it? Is that what that
No,
means?
I think it means sending your data to Amazon.
The NSA, I think, is what it
All
means.
the NSA.
Maybe it's VMware Fusion, and that's what he was running Ubuntu in. I'm not sure. Anyway, it's pretty great, and we'll have that linked in the show notes. It's a pretty interesting article, to tell you the truth, and they got a pretty good exclusive. Not only do they have that video in there, which sounds like it's made right for the Discovery Network, but they've also got some good shots of it, too. They say the robotic swarm technology could transform modern warfare for the U.S. Navy by reducing the risk to human personnel and also making it extremely cheap to use it. That's the other thing, just like drones. What happens once we make it cheap and efficient? We use it too much. All right, all of the links that we talked about today are in the show notes, including Bill Gates going on about Bitcoin and talking about Microsoft in the third person. You can check those out over at jupiterbroadcasting.com. Look for episode 70 of Tech Talk Today. Did you guys know, pro tip, that Tech Talk Today, assuming I don't get stuck behind a coal train, is live Monday through Thursday? Mumble Room, did you know that?
I knew that.
I did not.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Yeah, and if you didn't know what time, you could go to jupiterbroadcasting.com/calendar, and robots will convert it for you. If you wanted to get engaged with the show, because you can't, maybe you can't join us live, or even you could join us live, but maybe you want to just go another level. Like you want to go pro with Tech Talk Today, you want to be like a Tech Talk Today boss. Go over to techtalktoday.reddit.com. techtalktoday.reddit.com, techtalktoday.reddit.com. I just want to see if I could say it 3 times. You can also email us today at jupiterbroadcasting.com. That's it. We're gonna end right there. And I thought, HP has never really been one of those companies that inspires the imagination. And so we'd end with a commercial that it's all right, but it's very HP. And it's, I believe, from the early 90s. Enjoy. See you back here tomorrow, everybody.
With all the performance and reliability of a true Hewlett-Packard LaserJet, the new HP LaserJet 4L easily surpasses other low-priced laser printers for the breakthrough price of just $849. The new HP LaserJet 4L printer. Now's the time to make the leap. If it isn't a LaserJet, it's only a laser printer.